Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather today. I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin. I'd like to talk about the weather health risk for November 15th, 2025. We do keep a lot of graphics available at tpatw.com, and we recently started posting educational videos on Amazon, again under the title Patient Weather. We'll start this forecast off by looking that high pressure is in fact the dominant weather issue across most of the United States, although we have a massive cold front hanging from Montana clear on down into Oklahoma, back up into eastern Michigan to a low in southeastern Canada. Note that little warm front hanging south across Pennsylvania. We do have a lot of unsettled weather here in the Pacific Southwest, a little bit there along the Pacific Northwest, and a lot of activity going on here in the Middle Atlantic states in New England. Looking at our vitality index, which is a composite or a measure of all of the weather elements that we think have an interest in weather and health, and you'll see it runs here across California down into the Southwest. A lot of activity here with that cold air infusion in the northern plains, and note how much of the east, except for Florida, has a lot of activity going on, but really here centered across West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Looking at pressure change, and pressure change is one of the elements that most people say have a response in their bodies with that kind of change. And we have falling pressure here in central and northern California, swinging on into Nevada. A lot more falling pressure stretching all the way from Louisiana, through Arkansas, up through Missouri, to Illinois, and up into really the easternmost sections of Wisconsin, and that covers all of the eastern portions of the U.S., again, except for Florida. And note the most intense area of falling pressure is here in the Ohio Valley, the Middle Atlantic states up in New England, and we're picking up all of the Canadian cities from Windsor all the way to Ottawa. Looking at temperature change, and again we've got a very interesting weather pattern with cold air or cooling temperatures here, at least in the southwest. Dynamically colder temperatures up behind that frontal system in the Dakotas and Minnesota. And note we have warming or rising temperatures in the east after a little bit of a cold outbreak, but pretty intensely warm across Ohio, Pennsylvania, into upstate New York. Looking at dew point temperatures, you can see that we do have an interesting influx of rising dew point temperatures here in really Arizona. We have a significant increase in dew point temperatures all the way from the panhandle of Florida, clearing up into Pennsylvania and up the East Coast. And note the falling dew point temperatures here in the northern plains. When we look at vapor pressure, we get a better or more intense view of exactly what's going on. And we can see in the southwest, it's not only that the dew point temperatures are rising here in Arizona, but note that dramatic fall here in Southern California. Otherwise, we have the falling dew point temperatures or vapor pressure up in the plains, and we have the rising here in the east. Looking to POI, which is our change in the oxygen availability in the atmosphere, you'll see we have rising POI here in the southwest, southern California, western Arizona, southern Nevada, and then rising POI or a migraine risk significantly across the upper plains from Montana down to Nebraska, back up to Wisconsin. But note, really significant increase in the risk of migraine up here in the Dakotas. As we look to the risk of asthma and arthritis or falling oxygen availability, you see we do have that touch of asthma arthritis risk in northern California into southern Oregon. But the real risk of asthma and arthritis stretches all the way from Alabama into Arkansas and then to the east back up through Michigan, covering in everything to the east, including Florida, where we have a risk of arthritis and asthma from central Florida north. But the highest portions of this asthma arthritis risk stretches from Ohio across Pennsylvania, touching down even into Virginia, and stretching on up into New York State and on into southern Canada. And this, of course, takes in again those Canadian cities from Windsor to Ottawa. Thanks for visiting The Patient and the Weather today. Your comments are appreciated. And if you hurt, won't you tell us where you're located?